Meet Will and Tom, two seemingly ordinary men, cursed with a gift of vast knowledge that is forever expanding. Possessing incredible insight with unparalleled skills and expertise. Let us join them as they embark on a journey to quench their thirst for the truth while answering the questions to life's most intriguing mysteries. Let us open our minds and ask, dude, could you imagine? Could you imagine? Could you imagine? Currently, our world has a population of approximately 7.9 billion, and that number still grows. The thought of an overpopulated world may still be in the distant future, but the thought of leaving this planet and achieving interstellar travel may be even further away. However, what if we never reach interstellar travel? What if this achievement eludes humankind? What will become of us? Let us listen in to two of the world's foremost authorities on interstellar exploration, Will and Tom, as they go where no one may ever go to search for an answer. Welcome back, everybody. This is Tom Case.
This is Will Stark.
Will, I just wanted to let everybody know that the DCYI glass set giveaway is finished. It was, I believe,
completed.
Yesterday. Yeah, it has been completed.
Not as of the time of recording, but as of the time of this airing.
Yes,
we have a winner.
Of this airing, we do have a winner.
They've been announced on Twitter
and Instagram.
On Instagram, anywhere else?
No, that's about it.
Okay, and we'll announce the winner's name or username here as soon as we know in real time, which is probably going to be in a couple weeks, I think.
Yeah, since we do record these a couple weeks ahead.
Yeah, so we try and keep a backlog so that if something comes up in Minor Tom's schedule and we're not able to record, we have that little bit of buffer time so you guys don't lose up on an episode. But thank you to everyone who participated in our contest, and congratulations to the winner. Hope you are enjoying that glass set.
Yes, exactly. Also, too, that's a good way, Will, to keep our secret under wraps that we actually peer into the future. We already know, but I just want to. So let's get right down to business, Will.
All right.
So the last episode we had air has something similar to this question here.
Right. It fits it thematically, you mean?
Mm-hmm. And this question is, what if humans never become capable of interstellar travel?
Dun, dun, dun.
Bum, bum, bum. And basically the parameters of this, the only way I can really see this really happening would be something like the technology for interstellar travel just eludes humankind.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Essentially, maybe it's not possible. Maybe we don't figure it out because it's not possible. Or maybe we just never figure it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
One question, though. Because technically, it's already possible. In that, like, we can send things out of the solar system, and we have done that already. But obviously, like, by the time it gets to, if any of these crafts, if any of them actually make it to another star system, it'll be literally hundreds and hundreds, and if not thousands or millions of years or whatever. So my question to you is this: you say we never invent interstellar travel. What if we figure out like true cryogenic freezing, right? Mm-hmm. And what if we basically are able to ship out like a storage unit of, I don't know, 10,000 people frozen, and they're not set to thaw for 10,000 years or whatever. Like, is that's we're also not capable of that?
Oh man, that's
like a last ditch effort to escape.
I mean, I feel like those things can already be done. We can't revive those who are cryogenically frozen. We cannot do that. Oh yeah, you're right. We can revive them. So no.
Okay,
then,
so no. All right.
Because
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't think about that. We can't revive them.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So number one, what this means in the long run is that the lifespan of our species is limited to the lifespan of the star Sol, our sun.
Oh, okay.
It means that when that star goes, it's all done for us.
Yeah, it's done.
And granted, if we're not capable of setting up on a different body within our own system, basically once our sun goes red giant, it's over for us.
Yeah.
Because as a red giant, it'll swallow, it'll burn up Mercury, Venus, and I'm pretty sure even swallow up the Earth in its diameter. You look like you have something you want to say.
I do. I do. And I was going to say, because before we get further into it.
Okay.
Maybe, who knows? Maybe Fritz is out there in outer space. And that's why
I
he's
keep
not
forgetting we have these segments because Fritz doesn't exist anymore,
Yeah,
Tom.
Exactly. So I did my own deep dive.
Okay.
Let's go to the deep dive, shall we?
Let's do it.
Details from the deep.
So I just looked up some interesting facts just about interstellar travel and stuff like that. And there was a lot of interesting ones. For example, one of them I saw here was it was something that was said by Neil Armstrong. And on his return from landing on the moon, he was quoted saying, "It suddenly struck me that tiny pea, pretty and blue, was the Earth. I put up my thumb and shut one eye, and my thumb blotted out the planet Earth. I didn't feel like a giant. I felt very, very small."
Right.
And he was trying to show, because of like the distance between just even the moon and the Earth. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the distance from the Earth to the moon's 383,400 kilometers is only a minuscule fraction of the distance to our sun.
Oh, yeah.
And the distance from the Earth to the sun is 149.81 million kilometers.
Or like 92 million miles.
Right, yeah. Is a proverbial drop in the ocean when compared with the distance to the closest star to the sun.
Yep.
Like it's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Like the closest star to our solar system is Proxima Centauri. It is part of a triple star system called the Alpha Centauri and is about 4.24 light years or 1.3 parsecs away from Earth. What did Han Solo do?
Something
the run
less
in
than
12
something parsecs.
Yeah. But as NASA explains, that means that Proxima Centauri is 40,208,000,000,000 kilometers away from Earth.
Right.
Like,
and that's the closest one.
To me, unfathomable.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's the closest.
That's
You're
from
right,
one
yeah.
star to another. And then it's like, well, what about the galaxy's 200,000 light years wide, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's like some ridiculous number in kilometers, like something probably difficult to express.
Yeah.
And then when you look at the distance between galaxies, is like the distance between galaxies is hundreds of galaxies wide.
Yeah,
so
exactly. You can't. There's no compare. Like, you can't say like Alpha Centauri is about 4.24 light years away, which is comparable to being away from Alpha Centauri, which is 4.24 light years away. Like, you can't compare that to anyone. There's no way that you can
Yeah.
But then, then people are like, oh, it's so far away. Well, like, what is there even a reason to go explore? Well, it actually has what looks to be like a habitable planet in there. So it's like, the reason for the interstellar travel one of the reasons I would see would be for that when that time comes and when our sun is not going to be inhabitable, you know what I mean? Like, or when our planet is not going to be inhabitable, we have to go to somewhere that is, you know what I mean? And and that's the closest.
Yeah, that's the closest.
You know what I mean? That's the closest one. Like,
do you have more?
Oh, I thought you were about to say something.
I was, but I was like, do you have more?
Yeah. Oh, I just had one more.
Go ahead.
New methods and theories for interstellar travel are always in development. They actually have some companies, I know we all heard of like Elon Musk's private company, SpaceX and stuff like that. But a lot of these ones, are trying to see if there's ways to be able to have interstellar travel. Of course, none of them have, any real like thing to show for it. Like, it's all theories and stuff like that, like technology that isn't, available to us. But at least we know that there is one company it's a private firm called Breakthrough Starshot that they say they aim to get to Proxima Centauri in our lifetime.
What does that mean?
I would like to say. I don't know what our lifetime, if like I'm within this lifetime.
Yeah, and also, what do you mean get to there? Like send a unmanned craft there? Is that what you mean?
You know what? Let's see. Unmanned.
Okay.
Yes, unmanned.
Sure, okay.
That's true. I mean, you
Maybe.
better send an unmanned one first.
Right, seriously. Okay, so what I find interesting about this question compared to almost any question that I can think of that we've asked on this show is most of the questions we ask on this show is like, what if this happened instead of this happened? Or what if this crazy thing that could never happen happened?
Yeah, true.
The thing that sticks out to me about this question is this is a very, 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 very real possibility. We may never, even if given enough time, quote unquote enough time, we may never figure this out. It may not be within the realm of possibilities. I don't believe that's the case. I hope that's not the case.
Yeah, same
but
here.
it very well might be the case. And so this is an interesting subject that we're tackling here on Could You Imagine?
That is true, because I never thought about such a big issue where it's something that, our scientists or someone that sometime can't figure out. But the fact of the matter is, there is a chance where it would not be
very
figured
well
out.
is. Yeah. So like I said, we are limited to the lifespan of our own star. And specifically, if we can't make anywhere else habitable in the solar system, we're limited to the first phase of our star's lifetime, where it remains a yellow star until it becomes a red giant, in which we'll all die a horrible death. That being said, I think there is an amazing amount of both time and opportunity that our solar system allows for. Like, if we can really figure out how to, like, let's say terraform Mars or make Europa habitable, or actually make sustainable, like, I don't know, dome cities on meteors or whatever. Like, if any of that is possible, the solar system has more resources than that we could use in the lifetime of our star. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
Like, there are more, there are more precious metals in the meteor belt than there ever were on Earth.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? If we were able to mine those, if we were able to live amongst those meteors, if we could live on the moons of Jupiter, if we could terraform Mars, if we could reverse the greenhouse gas effect on Venus, like, if we can manage these things over the course of millennia, like, there is so much that our solar system has to offer. And as for the lifetime of our star, I mean, at the very least, I think we would have like 2.5 billion years before the star goes red giant.
Yeah.
And like, if we could live beyond that, like, we could probably survive in this solar system for like 7-8 billion years. Like, that's not forever. But like, also, the universe isn't going to live forever anyways, even if we could. Like, I think we talked about in the second episode of this show, or where I was talking about immortality.
Oh, yeah.
Where like, eventually, even if we can, even if we could do intergalactic travel, like, we will, like, trillions and trillions of years from now, the last remnants of civilizations will be trapped on whatever the final stars are, and eventually those stars will go out. Yeah. And then all the energy in the world eventually begins to cool off.
Yeah.
And so eventually there will be the great entropy of nothingness. So, like, whether it's 7 billion years from now or 23 trillion years from now, like, it's going to happen eventually. Like, we as humans are very well acquainted with our own mortality, right? We are only given, if we're lucky, 80 to 100 years in this world. You know what I mean? Like, so the idea that our species has a limited amount of time one way or another, like, it's a sobering thought. Die, Will? It's a sobering thought, but at the same time, it's also just the reality of our reality. And so,
spoiler alert.
Yeah, but I do wonder if there's a point where we would just give up, right? If we were just stop, if we were just like, no, we've tried everything. There's just not possible, right? What would that mean? Like,
that's interesting. I'm glad you brought that up. And I'm not saying that this could work or anything, but I back into my Star Trek fandom here. I don't remember exactly what it was called, but I think I remember there being a planet where something like that was happening. Their son was about to die or whatever, and I forget the name of. It was like when the Enterprise came upon this. They they only heard about this in theory. They
Mm-hmm.
didn't know somebody actually built one. And when they arrived there, they found out somebody actually did build one. And what it was like a shielding around the entire planet that was able to give off inside enough heat and light to mimic their sun. And basically they just made this giant shield around their planet. And the other planets around them and the sun and everything was gone, I think.
But okay, sorry, but how would that work? Because the energy has to come from somewhere. Where did the energy come from?
Again, this was on the episode of Star Trek. So like, I'm just thinking though, like what my point was though, I wonder like what you said about would we just give up? I would think, well, we may give up on trying for interstellar travel.
That's what I meant. Yeah. Would we just give up?
I think I honestly think it would. I think we would have to come to that point because of time. I think people would be like, yeah, we need to stop sending resources to trying to figure out if interstellar travel is possible, and we need to start doing something else. That's why I brought up this
That's
point,
interesting to me. Mm-hmm. Would people try and focus on how do we survive the sun exploding? Mm-hmm. I don't think we would be able to. I think that's a less solvable problem. Does that make sense? I think
you mean
we are more likely to invent interstellar travel than we are to invent a self-sustaining energy source that then protects the planet from the sun's destruction. That's not happening.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't think that's the road humanity takes.
I just wanted to bring that up as like an example of like, yeah, there would probably be whatever this other idea is. Like, I'm not saying it is the shield, but but I think they would give up. I think you're right. I think they would give up because I think after a certain amount of time, they're going to be like, well, I'm sorry. Now it's going to be too late. We need to focus on something else.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
When I say do we give up, I was thinking like a lot earlier than I think you're thinking. You're thinking like, oh shit, we're just out of time. Mm-hmm. Like we've spent 7 billion years trying to do this and we're out of time.
Yeah.
I was thinking more along the lines of like, we spend 10, 20,000 years and we've figured out an immense amount of science and technology and physics and stuff. And we're like almost 100% certain, like it's not possible. And if it is possible, it's through some means that we are not aware of. And that's what I mean by give up, because at that point, like what does that change, when it comes to our perception of our species? What does that change when it comes to perception of life outside of our solar system? And what does that change when it comes to our focus and what the technology we develop, right? Like, how do I say this? It's like the difference between, let's say you live in a house, right?
Okay.
And
I do.
Let's say you live in a house and it's supposed to be a temporary situation, right?
Okay.
Like a couple years. But you know for certain that after that couple years, you're going to move and you're going to buy a very specific, much nicer house, right? Like the way you treat the place you live and the things that you do and develop your house, that temporary house, is very different than if like you then suddenly find out like, oh, actually no, that house that you wanted has been sold, and because of some sort of weird legal thing, you're actually locked in this house for the rest of your life. Like you can never move out of this house. I'm not saying that's a realistic situation. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, how much would that change the way that you treat your house, you fix up your house, you trick out your house? You understand what I'm trying to get at?
I think
like,
I know.
What does humanity start doing differently that we wouldn't do otherwise? Because like I think there's a part of us that always thinks there's always tomorrow, there's always going to be more, we're always going to be able to discover something new, and we're always going to be able to travel a little bit further. As a species, like when that's no longer our mental reality, like how does that change the way we build our cities and the way we think about our future and the way we plan for, our solar systems, like planning and all
like
that stuff.
When we finally reach that acceptance, like when we accept, okay, there's no way. We know there's no way now.
Yeah, there's no way, and so we need to plan for sustainability as much as we can. Is it at that point that we really focus and actually manage to create what's called a Dyson sphere? Are you familiar with the Dyson sphere?
I heard the name.
So the idea of a Dyson sphere is it's a theoretical device, a massive device that would be capable of utilizing all the energy that our sun outputs. Mm-hmm. Because our sun constantly outputs a massive amount of energy in all directions at all times, right? What if we were able to like basically build a super mega ultra solar panel, if you will, around the whole damn thing, and that way no energy that escapes off of the star leaves our solar system, we're able to capture it and then utilize it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
There's the idea that could be possible, and what that would mean for society would be like endless sustainable energy forever, basically until the star dies, which is fine because that's as long as we're going to last anyways.
Yeah.
Like, would we be more inclined to make huge technological breakthroughs in other areas of science and technology because we no longer have this hope that there's a better place?
I think so, 100%.
I think so. Yeah.
I think, that's definitely where I see that would be going.
Right. Yeah. I think so as well. Here's a question for you. If you could live anywhere in the solar system and it was like it would be a sustainable and relatively comfortable living situation, where would you want to live?
In our solar system?
Yeah, in our solar system.
Oh, man. That is such a... First of all, real quick, I just wanted to say that was such a mind fuck of like what earlier when you were talking about just like, having to come to that realization and acceptance of like okay, interstellar travel, that, you know what I mean? Like how the world would change. Like, I don't know. When I was thinking about that, I was like, fuck, how would that really be? But yeah.
Okay, back to the house thing. Like if I found out that I was stuck in the house that I'm stuck in, right? It wasn't where I wanted to be long term, but it's just where I'm going to live for the next 60 years of my life. Well, I'm going to make the best of it. I'm going to take a look at my house, see what additions that I want to make. Maybe I break down some walls and change up some rooms. I do something cool with the backyard. I make the front yard super customizable and beautiful. Like, I might be more inclined to do things with this house that I would never have taken the time to do, even if I had gotten that next house. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying it could be a very rich and fulfilling experience once we make that exception and focus our energies elsewhere.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so to answer the other question though about where in the solar system I would like to live. You know what? I want to say, I think the most interesting maybe views like that I would want to see is, and you said like no matter where I pick, it's going to be a comfortable living, right?
Relatively comfortable.
Comfortable.
Maybe it's
living.
not like absolutely luxurious, but like
but like if maybe one of the moons of Saturn.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I would want to see that. Like what it would look, what that experience would look like. Plus also too, just to have, don't get me wrong, I know like you'll still see it, but like just the further distance from the sun, I don't know, it would make it feel to me just so surreal.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think that's a good choice. My choice would be on one of the moons of Jupiter for sure, because I think just the mass of Jupiter dominating the sky.
Yeah, that would be.
And Jupiter shines pretty brightly because of the gases and how much of the sun it reflects. So that'll be beautiful. But also, Jupiter has like an enormous amount of moons. I think somewhere between like 16 and 20. I don't remember. And a lot of them are vastly different. Like, there's like Io, the volcanic moon, and then there's Europa, the frozen ocean moon. Yeah. And there's just countless of these moons that are crazy colors and terrains and vistas and stuff. And if we're capable of living on any of these bodies, I would imagine that the moons of Jupiter would be a pretty prime area to live, because like you basically have all these close, really cool places to travel to.
Yeah,
you'd be able to travel to I think Callisto and Io and Ganymede, and then of course Jupiter itself, and then you're actually one of the closer locations to the meteor belt and stuff like that. So that'd be pretty cool.
So so Jupiter and Saturn are both gas giants, aren't they?
Yeah.
So what if I would have picked one of those? What would you have said? Like, well, how would you have lived on this gas?
Oh, okay. Like, well, I mean, that's like Cloud City from Star Wars. It's
okay. I was just wondering in my head because I almost was thinking, and I was like, well, but then how would that really work?
Yeah.
But no, I think you and I chose kind of the
similar setting,
for similar reasons too.
Yeah, absolutely. As for if we couldn't, this is one thing I wanted to point out. If in the end we never could figure it out, but it was coming to the end and the star was going to be put in, I don't know, let's say 1,000 years. We know we're on our 1,000-year limit. This is the end. I think humanity does make one last hurrah, one last try, and we do create like the big fortress ship, if you will, and we freeze not just people but animals, DNA. Culture, history, everything that we can think of that's important, that we load it on this ark, if you will, and we send it up there. And we don't know if we would never know if it could ever be salvaged. Let's say another species finds it, or something, but there's just that one sliver of chance, like, why not do this? Because even if like another species does find us, right, and they're not able to unfreeze us, but at the very least, like, they have the artifacts that we existed, right? Yeah. And like maybe they can learn something from us, and maybe we could provide one last service to the living things of the universe, and or like one last fingerprint on this reality. I would definitely be for it, and I think we as a species would definitely do that.
Because I mean, it would be like, why not? Yeah. I was just about to say, like, before you put the fact of like, what if this other species found us, but they're not able to unfreeze us. Before you said that part, I was almost like, this sounds like the beginning of a cool movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
sure,
like
absolutely.
where they do have the technology to unfreeze us, and then, you know, but not all of us survive.
Well, here's have you ever seen the animated movie Titan AE?
No, I haven't seen that
movie
one.
is fucking phenomenal.
Really?
The movie opens up with, number one, the animation's great, but number two, the movie opens up and basically there are multiple species in the galaxy, and humanity has become like kind of a major power. But the other major power in the galaxy are this species of like energy-based creatures called, what were they called? It wasn't the Zerg. It was something along those lines. But basically, they're the most powerful like nation in the galaxy or whatnot, and they end up having big beef with humanity, and there's a huge war, right? And basically, the scenes in the beginning of the movie are this little boy, his dad's a scientist, and Earth is getting invaded, and they're losing the war. And his dad has been working on this project called the Titan Project, which is basically like a huge ark. With everything, all the necessary ingredients to create a new home. Yeah. And he launches it, and it escapes out into the solar system, but humanity falls and is scattered across the galaxy, and we pick up with this kid later when he's like in his early 20s, and he's basically like kind of been a slave his whole life. And basically his journey of trying to find his father's work, the Titan AE.
You know, you bringing this movie up now, and what you bring up with this giant arc or whatever makes me think of something. So you would think maybe they would try to build a giant, you know, quote unquote Death Star, so to speak. Not a Death Star. I'm not calling it that because I want it to destroy stuff, but like something that huge, right?
If we can't live in this galaxy, no one can.
Yes, no, I know, right? Destroy it all, no. But something that huge that could house everyone enough. I know that the major problem with that is going to have to be, well, how do you maintain power? You got to have power to sustain it, right?
Okay, I think I got an idea.
Get that power from the sun, and you can harness that power even when it becomes a red giant or whatever.
Store the extra power,
or just keep drawing it, and you know what I mean, like that. Like, so it would be an artificial planet.
Yeah. I could see that. I could also see us just really cracking nuclear fission and or fusion. Sorry, we already do fission, nuclear fusion. Okay. And I mean, if we can just fuse atoms together, there's no shortage of fucking atoms anywhere. It would create an immense amount of energy, and could be able to do it in perpetuity on repeat. Right. And so maybe even now, somewhere out there in the galaxy, there's a huge machine planet without a star, just roaming the dark void of space and kept sustained by endless energy of nuclear fusion. I mean, maybe.
I know, right? That's what I was thinking right now. I was like, maybe that's where.
And if we're looking to survive the sun exploding, what it means is like we need to create this thing, get people on it, and get it working, and get it away like at least a couple thousand years before the sun goes. I don't know if our sun will go supernova, but before our sun goes ballistic, you know what I mean? I don't think our star is big enough to go supernova.
No, well, I don't know about that, but I just realized, well, then we just solved it and we just created Interstellar Travel.
That's true.
That's true.
It's really slow though.
Yeah.
Like that's the problem is it's really, really slow. Like it would literally take thousands of years for this thing to get to the next star.
We would literally be having generations upon new generations being born.
But that being said, according to our parameters, that's not allowed. So your Death Star, doesn't happen.
All dies. But dude, could you imagine?
The podcast you have just heard are the imaginings from the highly evolved minds of the extra-dimensional beings, Will and Tom. It has been translated into a format more easily understood by the human mind. Interpret it as you will. Should you find yourself seeking more answers to life's most intriguing mysteries, you can show your support by becoming a Patreon member at patreon.com/dude-could-you-imagine. You can also leave an Apple Podcast review. You can subscribe to us on Instagram at dude_could-you-imagine, on Twitter at DCYimagine, and on our YouTube channel, where you can leave a like and a comment. We can also be reached through our email, dudecouldyoumagine@gmail.com. We leave you now so that you may gather your thoughts until we meet again to ponder the meaning of the cosmos and ask, dude, could you imagine? Could you imagine? Could you imagine?
The first phase of our star's lifetime, where it remains a yellow star until it becomes a red giant, in which we'll all die a horrible death. That being said, I think there is...